What's up everybody, Bandit Chad here for another Tacoma Weekly Update. So this does mark 53 weeks that I've had my truck. Chad's not quite at a year yet, he still has a few more months. But we will be getting a 1 year in review video of how I've been getting along with my truck, all the adventures that I've had on my truck, all of the experience that I've had with the local Toyota dealership and everything, just to give you all kind of what to expect if you are in the market for one of these new Tacomas. So be sure and stay tuned for that. Also, we've had a couple more projects that have come up, so be sure and stay tuned for the channel. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and put the little notification button on. That way you will see all of our new content as it shows up. But actually this week, we did get some mail.
Yeah.
So this was sent to us by one of our subscribers, and actually he has a YouTube channel of his own. His name is Chuck Does Stuff, and if you remember, that is actually his truck is the one that we reviewed that had the rough country lift on it. So if you haven't seen that video already, please do check that out as well. But basically what he made for us is he got some metal from the local Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and welded up, and this is a GoPro mount. So this would go in the bed rail, this metal portion here, and then up here it has a little GoPro cradle, and obviously, you know, you can reach that out over your bed or reach it out over the side of the truck, either way you want to have it, and be able to film from the bed. Now, Toyota does make one of these, and I'm sure they'll be more than willing to sell it to you, but I believe they are fairly steeply priced, and I think, if I remember correctly, they are plastic. I could be wrong, but this one definitely seems to be made pretty well. He did cover it in bed liner and also go around the edges with kind of a protective rubber kind of molding. So it should really be nice. It should hold up really well, and it feels really great. So Chuck, huge thank you for that. We do really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
He did actually make a video of him making it, so if you are interested, please check out his YouTube channel. Again, that is Chuck Does Stuff, and be sure and follow him as well.
So around this time last week, Toyota did put a tweet out there about their upcoming concept that they're going to be releasing in New York. It's called the FT-4X, and we want to talk a little bit about that because this could be another interesting vehicle that Toyota is going to put in their lineup that might slot below or maybe even above the Tacoma. We don't know yet.
Right, so we've heard a lot of different rumors, and it's kind of hard to say, and as of now it is just a concept. But last week in that tweet that Chad was talking about, they did just release a picture of half of the wheel, and from that we can gather that it is an 18-inch wheel, I do believe, and it was a 28-inch off-road tire. Now, it's not just, you know, just a more street-going tire. It is a fairly aggressive off-road tire, but it is 28 inches, which is fairly interesting because most of your TRD Tacomas do come with around a 30-inch tire, so it would be just smaller than that. And we've heard all different types of rumors about what this vehicle could be. We've heard anything from, it could be a small truck that could be slotted below the Tacoma. We've heard anything from, you know, it could be like a Jeep Wrangler competitor. You know, we do have the Bronco coming out before too long again, and a lot of other small SUVs seem to really be hot right now, especially the kind of off-road type styling on them seems to be really popular.
Right, kind of like the Renegade.
Exactly like the Renegade. And that's another thing it can compete with is kind of the Renegade Trailhawk, because, you know, that's a small little crossover, but it does have a little bit of off-road type of hardware and everything in it.
It does. Yes.
And, you know, there's not really any competition for that. You know, I mean, the two-door Wrangler would be about the same size, but in terms of livability and everyday comfort and everything like that, obviously a little crossover is going to be completely different than a body-on-frame SUV like the Wrangler would be.
Right, it would be.
So where does this leave us? Well, honestly, we don't know too much, and we'll know a whole lot more here before too long, but I'm interested to see what you all think. Please leave what you think in the comments below, but, you know, if you look around, when you look at you know, there's a first generation Tacoma there right beside us. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that is considerably smaller than our Tacomas of the third generation. Now, if you see a first generation Tundra, you know, the early 2000s Tundras, they're really about the same size of our truck, and when you look at the full-size truck before that, the Toyota T100, that's probably even a little bit smaller than the Tacomas that we're in right now. So everything has really been growing exponentially. You know, the 4Runner has been as well, and when the 4Runner and the Tacoma first came out, they really were mid-size and kind of mini type SUVs and trucks. They're very, very easy to get around in on trails and everything else. And I'm not saying the new trucks that we have are harder to get around in on trails. I mean, they are a little bit, but there's also a lot more technology, but also the price is raised so much. So, if they would come in with a really inexpensive, small little mini truck that would be four-wheel drive, very similar to like a single cab short bed Tacoma in that type of size. Obviously, we don't know how that would sell because there's not really any others in the market right now.
Right.
But that would certainly be an interesting concept. Personally, I'm thinking more likely it is going to compete with the Jeep Renegade. Like I said, that vehicle is absolutely everywhere. I'm sure you all are seeing them a lot right now as well. But even the ones that are in kind of the upper trim levels, like the Trailhawk and the Limited, are still slotted under $30,000, and they're really, really affordable for people. And especially if you do get the Trailhawk, you do have four-wheel drive and a little bit of off-road cred to go along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that we did mean to mention was that this FT-4X concept could very well be an FJ Cruiser successor. Since that isn't in the market anymore, some people are kind of missing that, and they're kind of hoping to see something revitalized in the new concept. And you saw one last week, didn't you?
Exactly. So I was at the Toyota dealership last week to actually order some new parts for an upcoming project that we're about to work on. And there was one that was used there, and it was a 2014 because obviously they don't make them anymore. It did have about 33,000 miles on it, if I do remember correctly, and it was not any sort of the special edition vehicle, and it was an automatic. And the price that they were asking for that, at least, was $35,500, which is actually more than both of us paid for our trucks.
Yes.
So obviously these vehicles are still really relevant and still really enticing for people, obviously, if they're going to be asking that sort of price. And obviously some of that is because they're not on the market anymore. But when you do look around at other manufacturers lineups, look at Jeep. Jeep has anything from the Wrangler to the Renegade to the different Cherokee and Grand Cherokee models. I mean, there's a whole huge lineup, and really all that Toyota has for off-road vehicles is the Tacoma, the Tundra, and the 4Runner, and all of those are a good bit bigger than a lot of the Jeep models. So when you're looking around, Jeep is always looked at for having their off-road history and everything like that, but personally, I feel like Toyota is really in the same boat. Toyota's had the FJ lineup going since around World War II, and they've conquered Africa, they've been all across Asia and Europe, and since they've come to Americas, there's been all sorts of exploring in both Jeeps and in all of the different lineup of the Toyota vehicles. So in terms of history and off-road credibility, I feel like Toyota and Jeep are really up there neck and neck, but Toyota doesn't have nearly the amount of models that would compete with all the Jeep models. So again, that kind of goes back to thinking it's going to be some sort of crossover, probably smaller than a 4Runner. But again, we've heard everything from a mini truck to a Wrangler competitor, obviously, to some sort of crossover. So again, let us know what you think in the comments below. We're really interested to hear all of that.
So if you all follow with Toyota news, you may have seen that Toyota did do another Tonka truck concept on one of their Hiluxes. Now, this one is actually pretty special. It's not just a normal Hilux. It's riding on 35-inch Toyos, portal axles, and of course wrapped in that Tonka, yellow and black color with Tonka right across the side, as well as a diesel engine. So I thought, that was a pretty cool looking concept, and it would be pretty cool to see one of those.
Right, but I mean, they've had these Tonka concepts in the past with 4Runners and Tundras and everything else. We've never seen anything close to that in production. I think it's more of a promotional idea, but it is still cool to see, if you have the budget, what you could turn one of those vehicles into. So in other news around the industry here, the Jeep Easter Safari is coming up here before too long, and Jeep did release all of their concepts that they will be showing off there at that event. Now, with the Easter Jeep Safari every year, they come out with some stuff that is pretty crazy, some stuff that is more old school, and anywhere there in between. So this year they did come up with a couple new interesting ideas that we haven't seen before. They have one called Quicksand, which is no correlation to the color of my truck, but it is kind of like a rat rod style Jeep. So it does have the 392 Hemi in it that Jeep does have in some of the other Dodge products, and it does have kind of a gasser style look to it, and and everything else. So I've never seen a Jeep done up that way. I thought it was pretty interesting. Also, they do have what they call the Safari concept, which does have a couple interesting ideas to it, and a lot of people are thinking some of the lights and the grille and maybe the bumpers and some other stuff that are part of that concept may actually be from the new JL platform. Also talking about the JL platform, we have seen some new renderings of that. The JL platform, again, is the Wrangler that should be coming out here around 2018, probably in one of the upcoming auto shows. So be sure and stay tuned for all of that. We will keep you posted when more news comes out about all that. But it seems like a lot of people are really starting to get excited about it.
So some news coming out of Volkswagen, they are now certified to resell those TDI vehicles that were previously not allowed to be sold off the lots. I suppose they have fixed the problem, whether it be software or hardware that they had to replace. I'm not exactly sure, but you can now go and buy those off of the lots.
Right, so it looks like Volkswagen is getting out of the diesel engines before too long. Obviously the scandal that they were involved in is not the best for PR, but you know, all of these vehicles were just sitting around on the lot, so at least they will be able to get rid of them now. And if you do want a diesel Volkswagen, now is definitely the time to get one. Obviously they won't be getting quite the claimed fuel mileage and power and everything else because they are on that new tune or have the new hardware or whatever that they had to do to fix the emissions, but you can again buy one here in the United States. Also, in other news, Ford, it looks like, is further preparing for the return of the Bronco and the Ranger that hopefully we'll be seeing by 2020, and it looks like they're putting a $1.2 billion investment in their Michigan plant to prepare for all this and to start their manufacturing tooling and everything else. So it looks like it won't be too long before we start seeing those vehicles, and it's certainly an exciting time to be an automotive enthusiast with all of this news coming out, and I'm sure there's just more on the way. So that pretty much wraps up everything we have to talk about for this week. Thank you all very much for joining us. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Catch you next time.
See you guys.
There you have it. What in the world is rattling? Gosh darn carabiner.
Is that what's rattling?
Yes.
Oh, poopy.
You need to put your carabiners away.